give you an idea of how Sabre works, I'm going to follow through on the time and attendance wizard. First thing you need to do is set a global date. This gives you the period of time as to where you want to do your time and attendance. It could be last week, last month, or from a certain date range. I've selected this date range because I know there's data in that period of time that I'm showing you. The next step is to import your clockings from your devices to make sure that you have all the clockings in respect to the staff that have been working for that period. The next step is to look for clocking exceptions. When you click on clocking exceptions, you will see that you've got missing ins and missing outs that you can select. You can either look at first in, last out, which is the preferred method to start off with because you're ignoring the tea breaks and lunch breaks. Otherwise, if you are looking at tea breaks and lunch breaks, I'd recommend you look at paired in and outs. Obviously, there'll be more administration if you looked at paired in and outs. Once you've fixed all the missing clockings, you can then go and set up your shift sensing. This will give you the ability, if you're using shift sensing, to be able to work out which shift a specific person has worked for a specific day by the time that he clocked in and clocked out. The next step is to look at your calculation of your tea breaks and lunch breaks. Tea breaks and lunch breaks can be set up in a configuration that you either pay for the tea break or the lunch break, or you don't pay for the tea break and lunch break. And you can also pay according to the person's fingerprint or according to a fixed period of time. The next step, number 5, is to calculate the time and attendance. Time and attendance is worked out according to normal time, overtime, Sunday time, public holiday time, as well as overtime after set periods. In other words, it could be after 8 hours in a day, 40 hours a week, 195 hours a month, as you choose, and this can be done down to employee level. The 6th step is to allocate unscheduled days. The reason for this step is that if a person is not scheduled to work on a specific day, by default he will not get paid for that day. So if, for example, a person has come into work on a Saturday where he isn't supposed to work, but he just wants to get the extra hours, this would pick up that day and let you allocate a shift to that person for that day so that he can get paid for that. The last step is to approve overtime. You can approve overtime either globally or by selection. If I select by selection, you'll see that each and every day where there is overtime given for a specific employee, you can either tick or untick for that employee if you want to approve or disapprove this overtime. You also have the ability to unselect all or to select all once you have looked through your list. This brings you to the final step of the time and attendance, which will give you the normal time overtime report. This is the last report that you get before going into payroll. You can do this report in 2 ways, either by summary or by selection of a specific employee in a detailed report. This is an example of a detailed report on a specific employee. You will see the totals on the bottom and the hours worked for that period. The summary report will give you a detailed summary of all employees and total hours worked for the period selected. At this point, you would create your export file to your payroll. In this example, it's into VIP. Here you can select a department if you've broken down into the temp staff and permanent staff, or if you created multiple companies for your employees. You would need to select a batch number decided in VIP, and then you click the export file. To create the actual file that VIP needs, you click the Create Export File button. That is the path where the file is stored. You can view the actual file that goes into VIP, and you can email that file directly to your payroll clerk with a attached message. That concludes this demonstration.